think for gotta mute.
The January 11th.
Sorry, that's my bad.
The January 11th, 2022 Planning and Zoning meeting. So roll call, please.
Misty Solwitz,
Here.
Sarah Ritchie. Here. Al Ferris.
Here.
Aaron Freeberg. Bob Ormsby.
He's here.
Jeremy Freeble.
Here.
Josh Wade.
Here.
And Courtney Norman. Here.
All right, so next is the agenda approval.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And next on the list is the minutes approval from the December 14th, 2021 meeting. Does anyone have any comments or questions on that? Would someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 14th meeting.
I jumped ahead. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, next is public comment. This is for any comment on if it is not currently on the agenda. Is there anyone in the audience that had a comment for a non-agenda item? Doesn't appear to be the case. There's no old business, but next is new business. Item A7a. Consider a request from Cheryl Taylor for a right-of-way vacation and conveyance of the portion of the north-south alley that lies west of Lot 14 of the plat of Jones and Wendell's addition to Indianola, Warren County, Iowa. Charlie?
Yeah, the alley being requested to be vacated here is just north of West First Avenue and sits between the property that is owned by the applicant, which is on the west side, and then the property on the east side is owned by Roth and Son Services LC. Both properties have agreed to the vacation. We did note that there are currently no public utilities located in the alley. However, in discussions with IMU, they are still requesting that the city issue a public utility easement prior to the vacation, just in the case that they ever need to bore any utilities within this alley. As we noted, the alley proposed to be vacated is no longer needed for the use of the public, and its maintenance at the public expense is no longer justified. With that, staff does recommend approval with the condition that a PUE be granted. And if there are any questions of the commission, we'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Just to clarify, there's a east-west alley, and it goes up to that alley, but it does not close that east-west alley.
It does not,
Okay,
no.
Thank you. I was a little confused at first with the aerial photograph.
Any other comments or questions? Did anyone in the audience have any comments or questions in regards to this agenda item? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'd make a motion that we recommend alternative to approving the right-of-way vacation request with the condition that a public utility easement be granted to the city prior to the vacation being executed.
I'll second the motion.
All right, all in favor, do we do a roll call vote for this?
Yes.
Bob Ormsby.
He's reconnecting.
Jeremy Freeble.
Yes.
Josh Wade.
Yes.
Misty Solwitz.
Yes.
Sarah Ritchie. Yes. Al Ferris.
Yes.
Courtney Norman.
Yes.
Bob Ormsby.
Item B7B, Consider request from the city of Indianola, Indianola Municipal Utilities for a right-of-way vacation and conveyance of a portion of the north-south alley that lies between lots 5 and 6 in Block 8 of the original town plan of Indianola, Warren County, Iowa. Charlie?
Yeah, I'll try to get a little bit more detailed with this one as it's a little bit unique. But the alley, the portion of the alley that's proposed to be vacated is an improved alley that currently sits between two pieces of ground that are owned by the Hillers on the west side and the Abbotts on the east side. The portion of the alley that is being requested to be vacated, it's part of the electrical undergrounding project that is currently being done by IMU, which is being done in conjunction with the downtown reconstruction project or the city's streetscape project. IMU's project on the undergrounding does require that electrical equipment be placed above ground, such as meters and whatnot. They have attempted to secure easements for this equipment on private property, but have been unsuccessful to date. As such, an alley location is necessary for the equipment. We've looked at a few other alternatives. Obviously, the existing east-west alley that is behind the businesses is not viable. There is a lot of traffic that uses that alley, part of the businesses. We also looked at the portion of the existing vacated north-south alley that is just south of this proposed location. But the city does feel from an aesthetical standpoint to the square, that would not be the best option. Do note on here that while a small portion of the alley is proposed to be vacated, the city would maintain ownership. The vacation will still provide access to the remainder of the alley from Boston Avenue to the adjoining property owners. Those adjoining property owners would continue to have access to the east-west alley from their properties to that adjoining alley. And the main impact here would be that the general public would no longer be able to access the east-west alley from Boston Avenue. But the landowners would still have access, or excuse me, the general public would still have access to that east-west alley from both Buxton Street and Howard Street. With that, again, it's staff's opinion that the alley proposed to be vacated is no longer needed for the use of the public, and its maintenance at the public's expense is no longer justified. With that, if there's any questions of me, I'd be happy to answer them. Just wait for it.
Charlie, why not just give her the whole thing?
There's a garage on the house that would be on the west side there that uses access to that, and the Abbotts also, you can kind of see they have a entrance to their property from that portion right there. So rather than get rid of the whole thing, we felt it was important to have them maintain access from Boston.
The city's gonna keep maintaining.
Yes.
And are those green boxes, that's what's still in there as a part of the
Yep.
electrical system?
Yep. And like I said, again, the main thing is you're not going to have access from Boston getting into that east-west alley. That's the main inconvenience, I would say here.
And it's obviously the least used part.
Yeah.
The east-west alley is really
Yeah.
heavily
We
used.
could
All
not
of
shut
those
that down.
businesses back up to it.
We also have a lot of utilities.
It doesn't seem like there are a lot of choices there.
Yeah, and again, it's something we tried working with the private property owners to get it on private property, but we were just not successful in getting those easements. So this really is the last option. Again, I think the other viable portion is going south of here within that walkable alley there, but it then becomes a little bit more visible from the sidewalk on the square. So.
Any other questions or comments? No one in the audience with one question in regards to this one? Okay.
I can make a motion to approve alternative one, approving the right of way of vacation as requested.
Second that.
Could you do a roll call vote, please?
Godfrey,
Yes.
Missy Solbridge,
Yes.
Sarah Lucci. Yes. Al Ferris.
Yes.
Jordan Ryan.
Yes.
He is.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob Ormski,
He might not have audio, so.
Jerry Kribel,
Yes.
Item C7C, consider request from Kevin Halterman to rezone property located at 2110 Country Club Road from A1 to R1. Charlie?
Yeah, this is an application that was referred to the Planning and Zoning Commission by the City Council on January 3rd of this year. This property was previously used as an electrical substation for Indianola Municipal Utilities, but has been abandoned for several years. The property owner has purchased this property from the city, does intend to demolish the existing substation building on the property, and then wants to construct a new single-family dwelling. With that, we've just done a quick analysis of kind of some of the surrounding land uses to the north of this property. There is an existing single-family dwelling which was built in 1993. To the east and the south is the Indianola Country Club, and then to the west is the Heritage Hills planned unit development, which consists of many single-family attached dwelling units or townhome units. Looking at the future land use map of the comprehensive plan, this property is designated as a future use for parks and recreation. However, we did note that the existing single family to the north and the existing two-family dwellings that exist to the west of this property are designated as low density residential. I think we've said this to the commission a few times, but the boundary lines on the future land use map are not meant to be fixed. In this instance, as there is a golf course to the east and the south, and residential uses to the north and the west. And since there is no future park planned on this property, a rezoning that matches the low density residential designation would be appropriate. There is a 12-inch gravity sewer main that is on the west side of Country Club Road, as well as an 8-inch PVC water main on the east side of Country Club Road, both of which can service this property. So with that, if there are any questions on this request, I'd be happy to answer them.
Charlie, mine's about the park. Obviously, the owner bought it, I think, in July of this year.
I don't know
After
the
the
exact date,
comprehensive
yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
For the park, so it's private property at this point, so the fact that we had a plan for a park there is really null and void.
Yeah, and when you look at the land use plan and there, it's right behind me here, you'll see kind of that big swath of green area. It really was meant to encompass the golf course. And just the boundary lines for that really weren't set perfectly on it, and it included this piece of property, because if you look at it on a map, the golf course kind of does butt up right to that north property line there, so. But again, if you look at the future park plan, there is no plan use for a park being on this location. It really was just kind of because of the golf course.
And the house to the north is residential.
Yep. As well as the stuff across the street.
Any comments or questions? Anyone from the audience in regards to this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
there it is.
My name is Dave Summon.
If you could
I live right
approach,
next to the property.
if you could approach to the podium, that would be appreciated. And then go ahead and state your name and address.
And my name is Dave Summon. I live 2200 Country Club Road. And I came this town in 1982 to coach and teach. And we built our house there in 1992. And we've been there since. Just about 2 months ago, we spent over $30,000 re-roofing our house, putting on new siding and windows. I want to know what this project's going to do with my house, and also how it's going to change. I'm thinking about water, sewer, I've got, we've got, propane right now, not gonna change, we're gonna hook up the city now. My tax is gonna go up, I'm very concerned. I've been here a long time, in the community a long time, a lot of people know me. I love living here, a lot of great kids I've coached and taught. And I want to know what changed to come down the pipe. And definitely I want the ideas about taxes. My taxes go up because of this.
Yeah, I mean, I can't answer the question of the taxes. The county's the one who will assess property on that. I mean, could it potentially increase your property value because you have another single family dwelling next to it? That's definitely a potential, but the county assessor would have to be the one to answer that question.
I've got great neighbors for the last 20 years. Haven't had any. Abandoned power station and Dr. Lair and the other
Yeah.
side. And we love where we're at. I just want to know if we love big changes.
Yeah, I mean, again, just one single family dwelling, what's being proposed here, and with the change in rezoning, right now, that's all they could do is put one single family dwelling there. If they ever wanted to do more, which I don't think the property is big enough to do, they'd have to do a subdivision process, which again, you would be notified about that.
That property is not very big.
Yeah, and that's what
it's not.
it really
Look
wouldn't
at
be
it,
possible.
And there's a creek on the south side that kind of bends around to the east side of it. I don't think there's any possibility of any other houses going there. Then maybe one lot. Is it, what is his zoning? What's
A1,
your zoning?
Yep.
You're
Is that going
in,
to change?
nope. No proposal to change that. And if you want it changed, you can change it, but
Yeah, what would initiate a change? Would
you'd
be
have to
if he
request it.
requested
Yep,
a-
yep, you'd have to request
rezoning.
it. And we'd go through the same process that we're going through right now.
Like I've got propane right now. Is that going to change when I hook up to some city?
I'm not sure. So the city doesn't provide gas. That's Mid-American that provides that. And I'm not sure what is out in that area. I know it's got to be pretty dang close. I don't know if it's adjacent to your property or not, though.
do those condos have, I
Gas,
assume they have.
yeah, they don't have propane.
Or they have gas.
Yeah,
there.
no, they don't have propane.
Sorry, said that wrong.
Yeah, so Mid-American's close. I just don't know if you'd be able to get access from this. Now, you don't have to hook up to gas if you don't want to, but it could be an option if that's something you want to do.
Can you tell me what the plans are? Just sell it for one lot, build a house on it?
The city's already sold it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was actually, the city owns the property, but it was under IMU control. So IMU actually controls what happens to it, but the city holds a deed to it. So since we're not really the same entity, but in a sense we kind of are. So city sold it, and again, I don't know how long ago it was. September, was it? Okay, yeah. So back in September, the city sold it to the property owner, and the property owner intention was to build a new house on it. But to do that new house, we have to go through the rezoning process
I was
first.
just saying, that lot's not very big, so we'll put a house on.
Yeah, and I would imagine the property owner has kind of looked at some plans to possibly do that, but I know in talking with the property owner, I think their plan was to do it maybe later this fall. So there's gonna be obviously some plans that'll have to be submitted to the city, and we'll have to issue a building permit for it.
And the request does indicate the intention is for them to build their own personal home on it.
Like I said, I'm just concerned because I want to make sure that things don't change drastically. I don't want my taxes going up drastically either.
Well, valuations have changed overall just because of market conditions too. So from my perspective, I can't see it having any more impact than any of the other building that's happening on the north side of Indianola. You know, it is something that I don't think would be detrimental in any way, but I don't think it specifically would have a massive impact on as much as any of the other things that are happening in the area. But certainly be very different since you're used to not having any neighbors on either side. Thank you.
Mary Sunny, 2200 Road, and my only question is, and I don't know how to phrase this, surface when things start digging? I know there's a big manhole that says nobody opened this cover. Is there any safety issue?
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine there's any safety issue on that, and I would have to double check with IMU, but I'm also confident that IMU would have done their due diligence in any of that before they got rid of it. Again, the substation I know has been abandoned for a couple years, yeah, at least, maybe even longer than that, I don't know. So I would imagine anything that is leading to this building, if it is still underground, is not active.
And I know the building that's there has been empty.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and
I just wondered if underground. was
Yeah.
considered.
no, I don't believe so, but I can double check on that. But again, that's something,
That was
before,
my only
yeah,
question.
before foundations are dug for a new single family dwelling, they'll have to do locates and make sure that's all taken care of. And
Okay.
IMU works through them with that.
That's
So,
reassuring. Okay.
I've got a sump pump right now that it goes out, and pressure that lot with the water coming out when heavy rains. Do I have to reroute that or?
where is it? Is it actually discharging right onto the property line, or how far away is it?
Well, it comes off my land, it goes that direction.
Yeah, it just heads that direction. So the only thing city code says is you can't have a sump pump discharge within 5 feet of a property line. That's the only thing the city would enforce on regarding that. Now, that's not to say that a property owner next door, if they would get water damage or something like that from that discharge, couldn't do something about that as a private matter,
So
but
when I reroute my pipe to go.
the
back
city
to
won't require that, no.
All I've got right now, as long as I keep informed of what's going on, so I haven't had a lot of communication. So I came here tonight.
Get more information. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Make a motion. This is Jeremy. Motion for alternative 1, recommending rezoning request be approved as submitted.
We have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Misty Solwood,
Yes.
Sarah Ritchie. Yes. Al Ferris.
Yes.
Courtney Martin,
Yes.
Bob Bernstein. Okay. Jerry Krugel,
Yes.
Josh Reed.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
Just to clarify, Dave, this is a recommendation to the city council. Okay, so if you have some further objection or further questions, you can attend the city council, because this will have to also be approved by the city council. We merely recommend to them.
When would that next
Yeah.
meeting be?
February 7th is when it'll be heard by council.
February 7th.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
That's
you.
helpful, yeah.
Thank you, Al. All right, item D7D. Consider request from Indianola Industrial Park LLC to rezone 60 acres of property generally located southwest of the intersection of East Hillcrest Avenue and 143rd Street from M1 Limited Industrial Zoning District to M2 General Industrial Zoning District. Charlie?
Yeah, again, an application that was forwarded to the Planning and Zoning Commission by the City Council on January 3rd. This particular one, this property is recently transferred to as you mentioned, the Indianola Industrial Park LLC. The intention here is that LLC is actually owned by a business in town who intends to relocate their existing business onto this property. However, only needs about 10 acres and wants to develop the rest of it to be able to sell off as individual industrial lots. Because of that, and because of the property owner who is looking to relocate on their outdoor storage is needed on there. So that is where the request from the M1 to the M2 is coming from. I think as the commission is aware, M2 just does allow for more industrial type uses, where the M1 is more kind of that limited industrial, everything taking place inside, limited noise, limited odor, stuff like that. M2 just offers more variety and more alternatives for the land use. There's 4 parcels that are currently in row crop production right now. They're being requested to be rezoned. Looking at that and, looking at the comprehensive plan, the area's future land use is designated as industrial, so it would still continue to meet the comprehensive plan. Right now, there are not currently any utilities that are extended to this property. However, the city is working with the property owner to investigate various options on getting utilities extended from the intersection of Hillcrest and 14th out to this property. Just as a side note from staff, I think, and the commission understands this, this property is very important to the growth of our industrial park. Missouri Valley, just to the south of this property, recently being constructed with a 17th Street stubbed in from Iowa, which was recently paved. And I think this property opening up and being developed hopefully here in the future, which the commission will review subdivision plans, at which point in time they come forward, but just does open up the rest of the eastern portion of our industrial park. So with that, if there are any questions on the request, be happy to answer them.
Can you tell me how far east of this property city limits are?
East, it's right up to this property.
It's right
Yep.
up to the city limit line, isn't it? Okay,
Yep.
that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? We are a chatty group tonight. I would love a motion.
Is there anybody here that wants to comment?
Is there anyone here that would like to comment on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve alternative number 1, the rezoning request as submitted.
I'll second the motion. Al Ferris,
Yes.
Courtney Marvin,
Yes.
Bob Ormsby, Jerry Kribel,
Yes.
Josh Green,
Yes.
Missy Solbridge,
Yes.
Sarah Ritchie. Yes.
So moved.
I didn't know to see that.
All right, the next item on the agenda, E7E. Consider recommendation on request for approval of a plat of survey for TMEC Inc. located at 1308 South G Street. Charlie?
Yeah, I think the commission will recall on this property, there was a rezoning request that was reviewed by the commission, ultimately approved by the council just a few months ago. I think there was a lot of information that was discussed at that meeting, but the request in front of you this evening is just for a plat of survey that will split the existing single-family dwelling in the 1 accessory building off on 1 acre, and then keep the balance of the ground on the remaining 8 acres. What right now is being proposed is that, worth noting though, however, the 8-acre parcel would become a buildable parcel at that point, so there could be a second home built on that 8 acres if it is sold to somebody who wishes to do that. So with that, we've noted the comprehensive plan. This was part of the rezoning. It does designate the property as low density residential, which calls for 2 to 5 dwelling units per gross acre. Other than that, if there's any questions on this, be happy to answer them.
So just to confirm what you said, that other 8 could only be 1 single family.
Yes,
dwelling
correct.
at this point.
We do not have any other development plans for it right now, and I have not gotten any indication that that is the case. I know when we discussed at the rezoning, we kind of discussed what full build out could look like on this, but I think that was more just for the property owner to kind of be aware of full potential.
And so it's R1?
Yes.
Okay, so both pieces will be R1.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Any comments from audience members on this one? Please approach then.
hot here.
So you're right.
You get to make it really comfortable.
Mike White, 1406 South G. I'm all the trees, the 9 acres or so right south of this property. And I'm just curious, I came to the last meeting and I thought you agreed to do this then. Why are we doing this again?
Yeah, so the last meeting was just the rezoning of the property from the agricultural district to the residential district. Now they're actually looking to divide off that house. So it's required to have another process that it has to go through for approval.
Well, that's all my curiosity. Thank you very much.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, I would like to recommend that we recommend approval of the plat of survey as requested and submitted.
Second that.
Bob Ormsby. Jeremy Kribel.
Yes.
Josh Ray.
Yes.
Misty Solvik.
Yes.
Sarah Ritchie.
Yes.
Al Ferris.
Yes.
Courtney Martin.
Yes.
Item F, review and approval of Planning and Zoning Commission annual report for 2021.
Yeah, really quick on this, I'll just kind of give a high level overview. Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed 41 items last year over your 12 meetings. Of those 41 items, you forwarded 36 recommendations to the City Council, 29 for approval, 6 for ordinance changes that were ultimately approved, and 1 was a recommendation of denial. To date, the council has concurred with 33 of the 36 recommendations from the commission. 2 of those items are still from December and are being reviewed by the commission. And there was a vacation request that was denied recently. If you remember the alley vacation, actually, that was just south of the first one you reviewed this evening. When that item got to council, one of the 4 property owners actually withdrew their concurrence with that alley vacation. So council did deny that alley vacation on 3rd consideration. So that was the only one they did not concur with you on, and I think there was good reason for that. So don't need to go through each month in particular, but if there's any questions on any of it or any clarifications, I'll be happy to answer.
Just out of curiosity, was that the capital one?
Yes.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I can make a motion to approve the annual report.
Second.
Jeremy Kribel.
Yes.
Josh Ray.
Yes.
Misty Solvik.
Yes.
Sarah Ritchie.
Yes.
Al Ferris.
Yes.
Courtney Martin.
Yes.
Bob Ormsby.
Annual report approved. Item G, election of 2022 officers.
I'll just really quick open it up. Obviously, we've gone through this before, but by Planning and Zoning Commission's rules and procedures, you elect officers, both a chair and vice chair, at the first meeting of the calendar year. So that is today.
Try to make a motion individually or.
You can do it as
one.
one if that's the preference.
Open to a motion.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to nominate Misty Solvik to continue as chair and Sarah Ritchie as vice chair for next year.
Josh Ray.
Yes.
Misty Solvik.
Yes.
They can vote on their own.
What's that?
I said they can vote.
Okay. Sarah Ritchie.
Yeah.
Al Ferris.
Yes.
Courtney Martin.
Yeah.
Bob Ormsby. And Jeremy Kribel.
Yes.
Well, congratulations to the winners.
Tough campaign.
Item 8, comments. A, the building permit report.
Yeah, really quick on that one. This serves as our year-end building permit report. I can say that we issued 2 more permits this year than we did last year. That was trending to be a little bit more than that, but due to some staffing issues towards the end of the year, we kind of fell behind on that a little bit. And I think on the last 4th day here on December 30th, we were making sure that Tim got a few permits approved just so we can get that number up above where we were last year. So, but that number is not necessarily important. I think the important one is that we had $36.2 million worth of building permit valuation. We had 200 building permits last year, and it was about 25.1 million. So quite the increase in valuation. That was helped by the Williams Terrace multifamily complex that the commission was heavily involved in. Some more commercial industrial additions and alterations. And while we were down in numbers on single family dwelling permits, we actually surpassed the valuation from last year on that. So we saw less houses being built this year, and a lot of that had to do with construction cost, I think. But the houses that were being constructed on average were valued much higher than they were last year. So any questions on that, be happy to answer them.
All right, what about 8B, current projects?
Really don't want to go too much in depth on that. That's just an update of all the projects that we're on right now. I think if you look towards the last few pages of that, on subdivisions, we've got quite a few right now that have started breaking ground, got utilities in ground before it got too cold, and they're going to start paving next year. And then I think there's assortment of other ones, and I've heard from one developer in particular that we could get 2 more in this week for ground. So we could potentially be having about 7 subdivisions I could see next year possibly coming through the commission. So we were down on final plats this year for residential. I think we had 1 this year compared to 6 the year before, but I think that number is going to be up again next year.
Any other comments?
Just a question. I noticed like with Cabin Coffee, I mean, they're in business. They have been for a while, but they're still on here. They haven't dotted an I or.
Yeah, and again, this comes down to the staffing issue that we had. I think we have a temp CO issued on that one right now for a few things, and I just need to follow up with Tim and figure out what those outstanding issues are. When you get to this time of year, a lot of times they get opened up before, you know, when it gets pretty cold outside and some landscaping stuff that needs to be finalized. But I'm not exactly sure what that is. But we as staff have not completely closed out that project. So that's why it's still on there.
Okay, thank you.
But try Cabin Coffee out if you haven't, it's great.
Some of the other projects that are on here that haven't been active for quite a while, how long do they stay on? Isn't there a limit?
No, not on internal reviews. There's not from our standpoint. So I'm looking, let me just look through this.
Well, like All Creatures Small.
Yeah.
See, it's been since the 28th of April.
That one's been interesting. We've been working on some stormwater detention issues with them. I can tell you from our standpoint, we followed up with their engineer about once a month for a while, and we're always told, yeah, we're going to get something soon, and then it never came in. Some of these, it's just a matter of I need to follow back up with them and kind of figure out what exactly is going on and if they still continue to or wish to continue on the project. So, but last indication we got was they were still looking to move forward. So there's a few others I know, like Southtown. They realized that they needed to do a fire sprinkler on their addition, so they're kind of taking a pause and reevaluating that. Heritage Hills 12, is that the townhome one? They're looking at a few alternatives right now, but still intend to, yeah, because they haven't returned anything since September. So, but they are still making progress on it. They just haven't resubmitted anything to the city.
Okay, thank you.
Some of the other stuff is because of a previous employee at Downey Construction. So
It's dead stop, huh?
I mean, I think the motion's adjourned.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.